Hey, what's up everyone? Time for another video. It's been a while. I hope you're all staying healthy and safe during this COVID crisis and keeping your sanity. What we're looking at here is a vacant spot in my row. Yeah, and that's because I sold Marble Madness. Marble Madness is gone. It went out, it was actually shipped out last month, and I do miss the game. It's definitely one of my favorites. I didn't think I'd sell it anytime soon, but it had to go because I've got two games that are way up on my wanted list and I only had space for one. And so I had to get rid of one of my games, and that was Marble Madness. And the reason for that is simply that's the game I play the least. And I love the game, but the reality is I play all of these games more than I play Marble Madness. So that's why I chose Marble Madness. And in today's market, it does command a fair value. So I did sell that, and that got shipped out to Oregon last month. And just today, one of the two games that's way up on my wanted list showed up. I actually had this one shipped, as a matter of fact. And we're looking at Punch-Out. Yes. This game has been on my wanted list for a very long time. And I'm actually more of a fan of Super Punch-Out. So my plan with this one, and by the way, this comes from a buddy of mine, Scott, on the East Coast. He's out in Maryland, and he sold me his. It's not immaculate by any means, but it's a solid game. Everything works. And so my plan is to restore this and then also put Super Punch-Out in here. So I've got a switcher, and I've got a second board, so I can have regular Punch-Out like you see here, and then Super Punch-Out. So that's my plan. I'm going to restore this and then throw that second board in here with a switcher. I've got pretty much almost everything I need, with a few exceptions. But anyways, let's talk about this cabinet for a bit. So anytime I get a new game or a new project, one of the first things I like to do is kind of evaluate it and figure out what needs to be done to it, and then I can kind of make a game plan from there. So with this game, like I said, everything works, so that's a good starting point. Everything is electronically sound. I did notice that the power cord is missing the ground pin, and the cord itself is chewed up a bit, so that's going to need to be replaced. But otherwise, electronically, everything works just fine. So cosmetically is another story. The first thing I noticed is that the artwork is going to need to be replaced. The side art is pretty chewed up. In fact, on one side, I saw some Scotch tape holding it on. So the side art definitely needs to be replaced. The CPO also does. It's really flaked off and peeled off a bit. So artwork in general is going to need to be replaced. The cabinet structurally is pretty solid, although it is going to need a little bit of Bondo work. There's definitely some spots, some gouges. The edges in particular are a bit rough, some corners. So I'm definitely going to need to go through and kind of prep the cabinet. I am planning on doing laminate. As much as I like the original finish on this, it's just really scratched up, and it's too rough for me. So I am going to go the route of laminate. I'm a big fan of that. So the front speaker panel also has some rough edges and some gouges, but again, I'll be going over that as well with laminate. The T-molding is pretty much shot. It's cracked and broken off in several places, and so that's a piece of cake, but T-molding definitely needs to be replaced. All the metal parts, the coin door, the control panel, even the marquee brackets, I will be taking to a powder coater. I saw some rust starting to form on the coin door, so it definitely needs a little restoration work there, and I just like powder coating. It's just super simple and durable, so it's kind of a no-brainer. Let's see, other than that, the little metal parts on like the bezels for the coin return and the coin reject, those will get tumbled. I'll throw them in my tumbler, so hopefully that'll take care of those. The actual reject buns themselves, the red reject buns, are in really rough shape. That's easy to replace. They do sell new ones of those, so I'll swap those out. The bezel glass, if you look at it from the right angle with the game off, you can see a lot of circular scratches in it, and I'm guessing that's just from, you know, cleaning and someone using something that's just too abrasive. So I'm hoping I can either find a reproduction. I know at one point someone did reproduce these on Clav, but if not, I'll probably go to the local glass shop where I've gone before, and hopefully they can either make me a new plexiglass or just a straight up glass. Let's see what else. There's actually no locks on this game, so I do need to add a couple locks to the coin door in the front. And one thing I noticed is that this back door must have been replaced at some point, because it's just a piece of wood and there's no circular hole for a lock. It's just held in with a couple screws, which is fine, but I probably will drill a new hole and throw a lock in the back door. And speaking of the back door, when you open it up, there's a little metal slab at the top that's supposed to, that the door is supposed to rest against, and then the lock, you know, latches up in the center. And that piece of wood has just been shot to hell. There's like half of it there, and then the other half is just like flaked off. So I'm going to need a new piece of wood there for the back door to rest against, especially if I add a lock. Let's see what else. The base actually on this is in surprisingly good shape. With a lot of these Nintendo cabinets, those bases get real shredded up because that's what the cabinet sits on, and it's just that wood base. There's no leg levelers. And so if you don't use the wheels to move the game, or you don't have carpet sliders, that wood base just gets shredded. It get, you know, pieces of wood flake off, and they take a lot of abuse. And so I was surprised that for the most part, the base is in relatively decent shape. I do have a new base that's on its way. There was a guy that actually remade these Nintendo bases, and I bought one from him, expecting that this one would be all torn up, but I may not have to replace that after all. Both monitors do need to be rebuilt. They both show signs that they need cap kits and the whole 9 yards. The top monitor's got a little bit of a jittery shake to it. The bottom one, the red is cranked way too high, so at minimum it needs to be rebalanced, but if I'm going to cap one, I might as well cap them both. So both monitors will be rebuilt, and then I'll dial them in. You know how I am with my monitor OCD. But other than that, I think that's everything. And I know it sounds like a lot, but really, you know, once you get going with the laminate and the Bondo and all that stuff, it goes pretty quick. So it's not as long of a list as it sounds, especially where I'm dropping off parts with the powder coater and all that jazz. It comes together pretty quick. I'm shooting for 6 weeks. We'll see if that happens. But, you know, that's optimistic. But, you know, I'm hoping I can hammer this thing out relatively quickly. And speaking of quickly, that's how I'm going to be doing these videos. They're going to be short like this one, probably, you know, 5, 6, maybe at most 10 minutes. Just kind of like a video blog, because if I do the full-on restoration videos, kind of like with my pinball ones, they eat up so much time that it at least doubles the amount of time I spend working on these games, because I have to set up my cameras and stuff. So I'm hoping to do this as sort of a video blog. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, that's the plan, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.